And so I'm always like trying to write both. It's like write about the world around me and then also write about the world like within me. What's so beautiful about being a songwriter is like, I write a song most days. And so it's like there's just unlimited things to write about. But I don't really like, like wake up every day being like, I'm going to write something political. I never really know what I'm going to write every day. And I kind of just like let the creative energy and like the world kind of show me what I'm supposed to write.
Hey everybody, it's Ronnie with Daybreak Star Radio, and I am just ridiculously excited for this next interview that we have to bring you with the amazing and super talented Raye Zaragoza.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Raye Zaragoza. I live in Los Angeles, California, but I was born and raised in New York City. I come from a super diverse racial background. My dad is of Akimel O'odham descent and also of Mexican descent. And so I'm super grateful to be, representing the Southwest on that side. And then with my mom, she was born in Japan, but she's also Taiwanese. So I'm also half Asian.
What initially inspired you to pursue a career in music?
So actually, like when I was a kid, I did a lot of acting. My brother, Roman Zaragoza, and my dad, Gregory Zaragoza, are both actors.
Mhm.
And so we all kind of grew up in theater, doing acting and things like that. And so I always thought that that was going to be my path as well. But I realized that I didn't really love it as much as my brother, and it didn't really feel like my path. And that's when I started playing guitar in middle school and high school. And then I started writing songs, and then I just kind of never looked back. I just realized that I love being creative, but that um, there was like music was like the creative medium that resonated with my heart most.
So how does your multicultural heritage influence your songwriting and storytelling?
I think that being multicultural and being Indigenous has just given me a lot of perspective on the world that we live in, for better or for worse. I think that all of us within our greater communities can see so much of so much injustice that happens around our country, around the world. And also we're thinking so many generations in the past and in the future. And I feel like as Indigenous people and as an Asian American person, the daughter of an immigrant, I'm constantly thinking about my great grandparents, my great great grandparents, and what they went through for me to be in the position that I'm in now. And so I've always thought of my life as just being this like link on a chain. And I've always felt like my storytelling is about so much more than myself. It's about everyone that has brought me to where I am now. And so when I'm thinking about songwriting and storytelling, I'm not really thinking as much about like my day. Like what can I write about that's just affecting me? It's more about what can I write about that has affected my family, or my community for generations, or what will affect us for generations.
So your album Woman in Color was like very deeply personal and resonated with so many people. I was wondering, how did your experiences growing up shape that album?
I always just felt like I wasn't enough. I think that's a very common sentiment amongst girls of color. I always felt like, oh, like if I just like, had light skin, then maybe like I would book more roles or I would be liked more and like it would solve all my problems. Obviously that's not true. But I just always thought that I wanted to be this like cover of a magazine kind of girl and on TV and stuff. It would mostly was like white girls. And I think that like when we would audition for things when we were kids, like being like the brown girl that I am was always like, oh, you could be the best friend, or you could be the sidekick, or you could be like, and it's just such a strange message to give a kid at that age that like because of the way you look, like you'll always be the second thought. And so I think with Women in Color, I just really wanted to show little girls that like you are enough the way you are amazing, you're badass, and like you don't need anyone to tell you that. And so yeah, that album is just so much about identity and like reclaiming like your power.
You've stepped into the world of voice acting, including your role in Spirit Rangers. Yay. Um, so tell everyone, how did that opportunity come about and what was that experience like for you? Like,
Yeah, working on Spirit Rangers was such an amazing, amazing experience. One of my favorite experiences ever. I did voice the theme song and the transformation song, which you'll hear on every episode. But in addition to voicing, that kind of voice of the theme, I also wrote about 40 plus songs for the show. So I was one of two writing teams for the music, but I ended up taking over for the show of doing all the music towards the later seasons. So I'm just so grateful for that opportunity. And your cousin Joey Clift was one of the writers on the show. So I actually got the job because I was next door neighbors with Joey, and he gave me that opportunity to try out. And I'm so grateful because that job was like the coolest thing ever. And Carissa Valencia, the creator of the show, is now still a dear friend. But getting to work for her and like bring her vision to life was amazing.
You do use your platform though to speak on Indigenous and social issues. How important is it for you to combine activism with your artistry?
I think that if you have something to say, you should say it. And I think that for a while, like I had so much to say, and like I'm so grateful to have a platform of people that I could kind of like inspire and rally together. And so yeah, I think it's important, and like I continue to do the same, and then also kind of balance it with also writing more personal things and about you know just things that are more about like my personal life. And so I'm always like trying to write both. It's like write about the world around me and then also write about the world like within me. And so what's so beautiful about being a songwriter is like, I write a song most days. And so it's like there's just unlimited things to write about. And I'm constantly getting inspired. But I don't really like wake up every day being like, I'm gonna write something political. Like it's usually when it's like something that has struck a chord in me and I feel moved to write about it. Which, happens a lot, but I never really know what I'm going to write every day. And I kind of just like let the creative energy and like the world kind of show me what I'm supposed to write.
What advice would you give to Indigenous youth out there who are just trying to, break into the music or entertainment industry in general?
Don't be afraid to reach out for help, first of all. And if there's anything in online or in your town or city where you can get a resource, whether it's like someone, even me, like, like someone that you can reach out to and just ask for some, like hands-on support, whether, or if it's a guitar lesson or a YouTube video that could teach you to play guitar, just like really focus on doing one step at a time. I think sometimes we think, I want to go viral. I want to be famous. I want to be on TikTok. And it's like, let's like start at the basics. If you want to write songs, think about writing poetry first. If you don't have a guitar, you'll come with a guitar, or think about getting a guitar, think about learning how to play guitar, and think about nurturing your creativity before thinking about wanting to pursue the career of it. And the career of it part will come, but especially if you're really young, I highly, highly suggest really exploring your creativity first. If you are somewhere like Seattle or a bigger city, or if you're close to one, or even a smaller city or a small town sometimes have some too. But if you know anywhere that has open mics, that's like the best thing I think for anyone is to get started with open mics. I used to play open mics like 4 or 5 nights a week before I started like releasing music. And so it's really good to like get to show your music to people who are also musicians as early as possible. So as soon as you are getting creative, writing songs, doing whatever you want to do, start sharing it. Find an open mic, or if you don't have an open mic in your city, make your own open mic. Get all your family and friends together and play for them.
I think music is beyond language. And if you can create music that becomes universal, I think that's the goal. But even Spanish is a colonial language. English is colonial. But when you move your feet and you stomp and you move your body, like that's ancestral, right? And so when we move to the drum, it can become ancestral because it's beyond language.